How's it going, guys? MissingNo here, and today we're doing the first of hopefully many Evo Fury Kaijudo deck profiles. I am revisiting Evo Fury because it is personally my favorite format of the game. This is a set that introduced the game's first real game-changing mechanic in the form of evolutions, and I feel that this is the most fair and balanced format of the game. I could very well be wrong. I could be way off, and feel free to correct me if you think I'm wrong, because I very well could be. But this was a time of the game where we didn't have to worry about things like the dragons and monarchs and like bottle. And I just thought it would be really cool to go back and revisit an old format where I don't have to have things like Lyra and Cassiopeia and Haven and stuff like that in the back of my mind every time I try and make a card decision. And this format also holds a very important personal connection with me. So maybe I'll trauma dump on you near the end of the video, and you can kind of understand why I like Kaijudo so much and why this format in particular is my absolute favorite. But getting into this deck profile, this is Mono Water, and back in the day, we called this deck Geek Squad. So let's go ahead and hop on into it. To start things off, we play 3 copies of Cyber Sprite. It is a 1 for 2,000 creature with blocker and guard, and it is a Cyberlord. Back in the day, all evolutions focus on races, so if you wanted to have a good consistent deck that involved evolution, you had to make sure you had enough of the pieces that you actually need, or else you're going to get super screwed. This being a 1-drop blocker means you just have super fast defenses right out the gate, and also it being a level 1 means you can just easily just drop it and then immediately evolve it anytime after turn 4. Just really, really good, because Emporer Neuron is a fantastic card, and just being able to get it out super quick is highly necessary. Cyber Sprite, I feel, is absolutely a 3 of in this deck. Next, we play 3 copies of Cyber Trader. Another Cyberlord, 2 for 1,000. When this creature enters the battle zone, you can draw a card, and if you do, you discard a card. The whole point of this deck is to draw a bunch of cards and bounce away your issues to deal with later, or just bounce them out of the way and just go in for some final blows. I feel this card is also absolutely a 3 of. Again, a low-cost Cyberlord, and this one also allows you to start digging through your deck. Super good. Absolutely a 3 of in my opinion as well. We're also playing 3 copies of Ice Blades for a 2-drop. We didn't have the best Shield Blasts in the beginning of the game. Ice Blades is basically a Water's version of Bone Blades. It's a 2-drop that bounces away a level 4 or less creature back to the owner's hand. So, while I have things like Bone Blades that can kill things, this one for cheaper can at least bounce it away for the moment, and then maybe you can put in a little tiny push. Sometimes this deck has issues getting around blockers, so you can bounce away a blocker in a way like a Granger or a Scaradorable of Gloomhollow, because those were huge threats back in the day. And Ice Blade is a good card for doing just that. Next, we're playing 3 copies of Aqua Seneschal. If you're playing water in any deck in this format, odds are you're playing 3 copies of Aqua Seneschal. This is a 3 for 2,000. Whenever this creature attacks, you can draw a card. It's just consistent drawing. You just go in, try and poke for a shield, get a card, and then it can die. You wouldn't care. You're at a +2 at that point. So, Aqua Seneschal is just really good. And it's a Cyberlord, so it evolves into Emperor Neuron. So, there's also that. I kind of wish I had the Walmart promos, because that hollow blue looks really, really nice on Seneschal. Our next level 3 is 3 copies of Hovercleft Glurgle. 3 for 1,000, Cyberlord, again. And each time one of your creatures would be destroyed by battle, it goes back to your hand instead. So if you block with your Cyber Sprite, it dies, it goes right back, and you can play it again next turn, then evolve it into Neuron, stuff like that. Just overall, it's a really great card. If they finally attack over your Neuron, cool, you get both those cards back, the Neuron and the card you evolved it on top of. and then you just play it again next turn and just keep going. As long as you can keep out hovercraft, you're going to be really annoying to deal with. Speaking of cards that are really annoying to deal with, we play 3 copies of Reef Gladiator. This creature, however, is not a Cyberlord, therefore you cannot evolve on top of it. You play a total of 5 cards that you cannot evolve on top of in this deck, but that's perfectly fine. Reef Gladiator is a 3 for 3,000 plus. It has blocker and guard. But its other effect is, while all cards in your mana zone are water cards, this creature gains plus 3,000 power, and whenever it blocks, it can draw a card. So that's really good. You swing with your Neuron. That's cool. You can then block your opponent from attacking into the Neuron or into your shields with Reef Gladiator and then draw another card. And it's just constant hand advantage. If you have the hovercraft and this dies, it goes back to your hand, and you can just you draw a card, get it back, and then play it again next turn and just keep going from there. It's a really good card. And I feel if this card was able to attack, it would be probably a little bit too powerful for the format. But Reef Gladiator is absolutely a 3 in this deck. Next, we're playing The Boy, 3 copies of Emporer Neuron. This is like the leader of the Geek squad. It is a 3 for 5,000 evolution creature. Has to evolve on top of a Cyberlord. This creature cannot be blocked when it attacks, and every time it does attack, you get to draw a card. So having a way to get around Granger or Scaradorable is just really, really good. Being able to just attack on play is also really nice because it's basically like having a fast attacker whenever you evolve. So not many things that are level 3 can deal with a 5,000 attacker that can't be blocked. So if you get this out super early, you start picking off shields super quick, and you start drawing a lot of cards, which is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, Emperor Neuron is the GOAT of the format, in my opinion. 3 copies of Logo Scan. Again, you love drawing in this deck. Logo Scan is just Pot of Greed for Kaijudo, so absolutely you're going to play that. And we also play 3 copies of Search the Depths. This is a 3-cost Shield Blast, and whenever this card is cast, you can look at the top 4 cards of your deck, add one of them to your hand, and put the rest in the bottom of your deck in any order. So it's like a mana tick, but it doesn't have to search for Mega Bugs, and that's super nice. Also, a 3-drop lets you search your deck a little bit more. Absolutely great. On to the level 4s, we play 3 copies of Finbar Council of Logos. This is a 4 for 2,000 creature that boosts the power of all of your other Cyberlords by 2,000 power. So you have him on field, you evolve something into a Neuron, and then a Neuron is hitting for 7,000 at 3 costs that can't be blocked, and drawing you cards. That's really good. Your Cyber Sprite is now blocking for 4,000 on 1 mana. That's also really nice. So Council of Logos gets in there super, super hard. And if you absolutely have to, again, you can evolve on top of it. So yeah, that's pretty nice. We play 3 copies of Veil Vortex. Again, like I said, these are dark, dark times we're playing in. And before we had Piercing Judgment, a card that could bounce and tap for 4, you had this card, which was just bounce for 4. So this is just a very, very nerfed Piercing Judgment without the tap ability. But this card was really, really good at the time. Just bounce anything is really good. And I could be wrong. I don't know if we had any creatures that had the ability that they couldn't be targeted. Maybe King Neptus. I think Neptus has the ability to not be targeted. Maybe I'm wrong. I can't remember. I'm not prepared. Next, we'll play 3 copies of Reef Plin's Guragle. 5 for 2,000, Search the Depths. That's what it is. It's a Search the Depths that you can evolve on top of and can punch for very, very little power. But yeah, it is what it is. I don't necessarily like it the most. Maybe I could swap this out for something else. It goes to mana a lot, I'm not gonna lie. But there are times where it puts in a little bit of work and it kind of gets in there. It is what it is. Maybe I could replace it with something better. Uh, Another card that is kind of a necessary evil I'm not necessarily a fan of is 2 copies of Aquatic Expulsion. This is a 6-cost Shield Blast that returns 2 target creatures that are level 3 or less from the battle zone back to the owner's hands. It's a card that can deal Scaradorable of Gloomhollow, so therefore it's already somewhat decent. Um, that's honestly my main reason for playing it, because sometimes Emperor Neuron just doesn't get in there all the way. So, Aquatic Expulsion. I definitely would not play 3 of this card. I feel 2 is a solid number, and I'm going to leave it at 2. And to finish off the deck, the last 2 cards we play are 2 copies of Waterspout Gargoyle. This is the other card you cannot evolve on top of, as it is an Aquan race. But this is an 8 for 5,000 creature that when it enters the battle zone, you can target 2 creatures in the battle zone and return them to the owner's hands. So double removal, super nice to start swinging and getting on some like nice smooth kills. Pretty good. But yeah, overall, I really like this deck. But yeah, so that's the deck. Mono Water Geek Squad is really fun. If I remember correctly, I want to say this deck had quite a bit of wins. Back then, there wasn't really a competitive tournament scene per se, because we didn't get like structured tournaments until Dragon Strike Infernus came out. So going back and finding like information about the game back then is kind of hard. There's no like real good way of seeing anymore. I used to be able to look at what was the website? Alter Reality Games, because CVH and Earth Power and all of them used to write articles for the website for Kaijudo, and I was looking at decks, and then one day all those articles just vanished, and I can no longer access them. So that really sucks. But yeah, Eva Fury is my favorite set. Uh, because probably mostly because of a personal reason. So by the time this set came out, I had been graduated and had moved out of the house for over a year at this point. But my little brother, who is 7 years younger than me, was still stuck at home with our parents, who were in the middle of a kind of messy divorce. And I was very far removed from that. My mom and I didn't necessarily get along very well back in the day. Things have changed now. We get along quite well, actually. But us being in the same house, just it really did not mesh well. And when the divorce happened, my brother was stuck at home dealing with all of that, and I wasn't really there to be there with him because I was, off somewhere else. And even before then, my brother and I never really got along. We never really did anything together all that much. But Kaijudo came along, and I introduced him to the game, introduced him to my friend group, took him to our locals, and he started getting to like know everybody there. And he picked up the game as well. And we really connected for the first time because of Kaijudo. My brother played Cobalt Control. This is one of the decks that I have. I'm still final tweaking it, but this is one of like the next few decks I'll be doing for Evo Fury format. Cobalt Control was really good. I feel he had never really been like super good at Yu-Gi-Oh, but he picked up Kaijudo like super quick, and it was a great way for us to bond. So that's probably a reason why I like this format so much and why Kaijudo stuck with me for so long, because it finally made me and my brother like see eye to eye. Another deck I'll be profiling soon is Aqua Saberbolt. This was the deck I personally played with during Evo Fury format. I love Aqua Saberbolt. It is probably still one of my favorite decks of all time for this game. But I cannot for the life of me remember the build I used to play like card for card. So I feel like there's some choices I've made with this particular build that I don't necessarily think suit the deck perfectly. And maybe I could change something. Like, I feel there's too many of... There's something about it I don't necessarily agree with, but it also feels like really good at the same time. but this might be the next deck profile. I know in the Dragon Strike and Furnace openings I said that we were going to be profiling Light Dark Fire Control at some point, but I'm really feeling Evo Fury right now. Also, the day I'm recording this, there are some discussions in the Kaijudo dojo about Kurigar. Louis brought up Kurigar again, and people are kind of throwing around ideas. He posted his light water nature Kurigar list. I'm like, oh, this is super similar to one I used to play. And Dark Signer came in, threw out the idea of playing Cryon and a bunch of cards that could just like get you mana on play and then just have fast attack with Kurigar. And I really like that idea. So now I'm also in the process of building a deck I have dubbed Spicy Kurigar, which is another dark fire nature deck because for some reason those three colors just seem to work really well together. So yeah, Spicy Kurigar will come up at some point in the future. But right now, I have like a very bare bones rough draft of it. I sent it to my friend TCG Tamer. He wants to work on it with me as well. I sent the list to Louis, and as of recording this, he hasn't looked at it yet. But he might hop in on that build train as well. But anyway, I'm just rambling now. The rambling's been almost as long as the deck profile. So, anyway, this is Cyberlords, Geek Squad. Geek Squad is the deck. And it's really fun. Evo Fury was a great time. Geek Squad is great. Bronze Arm Sabretooth is great. Cobalt Control is great. I have a lot of really just weird ideas that I never really got to mess with. I still can't because I still don't have all the cards, but I'm working on it. So anyway, before I keep rambling, this is the deck. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you look forward to more Evo Fury stuff. Hope you look forward to just more Kaijudo stuff in general. And I'll catch you guys later.